Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good day, welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. You can watch this program live on our Facebook page, Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You can also hear us live on our audio streaming at Evox PBS Receiver app. So join us for another edition of Front and Center with your host, Jerome Toledo.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Before we head to our discussions for this program, as we know, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will be departing to India today, this morning, August 4, to meet with the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and some other meetings with Indian government, as President Marcos Jr. will partake a 4-day or 5-day state visit in India starting today until August 8th, Friday. And the president will hold a series of meetings with Indian businesses and government leaders during his 5-day state visit to India. That's what the Presidential Communications Office said on Thursday. And President Marcos Jr. will visit India upon the invitation of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And Marcos Jr. will also meet with the Filipino community in New Delhi in India. That's the India's capital. And President Marcos Jr.'s visit will be the second time that the Philippine president will visit that Indian country. The first one was from former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, which she visited India last October 2007. And among the things that were discussed during that time is of course, the economy, and as well as the defense, and also establishing diplomatic relations. And Marcos Jr.'s visit to India will coincide with the celebration or observation of the 75th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between Philippines and India's relations. And the Philippines and India formally established diplomatic relations on November 26, 1949, after Manila and New Delhi gained independence in 1946 and 1947, respectively. And bilateral trade between two nations reached around $3.5 billion in 2024, growing 8.6% year on year, with the balance favoring the Indian exporters. And also on defense, India also successfully delivered the BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles to the Philippines last year. So meaning to say, three things will be discussed during the state visit of the chief executive to India. So that's economy, defense, and people-to-people ties or cultural ties between Manila and New Delhi. And we are expecting a speech from President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. this morning as he departs from here in Manila, and he will head to New Delhi in India to meet the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and to meet with the Indian business and government leaders there starting today, August 4.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Meanwhile, in some other developments, the Department of Energy Secretary Sharon Garin expressed optimism about attracting more investments to the country's oil and gas sector following the decision of the Supreme Court clearing the Malampaya contractors from a income tax liability case. Secretary Green welcomed the High Court's ruling on the income tax case filed against the Shell Exploration BV and as well as the PNOC Exploration Corporation and Chevron Malampaya LLC. Last week, the SC or the Supreme Court upheld that the country's share in the natural gas projects profits already included in the contractor's income taxes. So Secretary Green said when he was asked by reporters when she was asked about the Supreme Court decision, she said this quote and unquote, "We're happy that the issue has been resolved because it gives us stability and security to the exploration of our investors. So it will encourage more." And that's what she said to reporters when she learned about the decision that was released by the Supreme Court favoring the government and clearing the Malampaya contractors from the income tax liability that's worth 53 billion pesos. And she added that she's happy that because they didn't know what it was. She was referring to that case. Now they know, and she thinks that the decision of the Supreme Court clearing the Malampaya contractors will bring in more investments, particularly the oil and gas sector to the Philippines to explore our oil and gas natural resources. And the government and the three Malampaya contractors inked a service contract in 1990. So that's more than 3 decades or 4 decades ago, stating that the contractors must remit 60% of the project's net proceeds to the government. While they enjoy almost all tax perks, the group is not exempt from paying income taxes. And the decision highlighted a provision in the deal which says that profit sharing also covers the contractor's income taxes from year 2002 to 2009. And the issue arose after the Commission on Audit claimed that 53 billion peso had been improperly deducted from the government share, arguing that no law explicitly shares or states that the contractor's income taxes should be included in that share. And the private contractors later challenged the COA's position before the High Court. And in favor of the Malampaya contractors, the SC said the tax assumption is not a tax exemption and contractors are still liable for income tax. And that decision added that the government pays it on their behalf as part of its share in the project's income. It also said that while the High Court backs COA's task in protecting public funds, the government must or still needs to honor its contractual obligations, especially when the terms are clearly stated that in agreements it voluntarily entered into. And the Malampaya supplies 20% of Luzon's power needs. It is located 50 kilometers off the northwest Palawan area and sits within the country's exclusive economic zone. And since producing gas supply more than 20 years ago, Malampaya project has so far contributed more than 13.8 billion US dollars to the Philippine government. So the DOE is very hopeful that this decision will spur investments and will attract more investors, particularly in oil and gas sector, which will greatly help our Philippine economy.
Front and center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
And speaking of investments, the Department of Agriculture is set to take a central role in implementation of a joint circular backed by 38 government agencies or national government agencies that is seen to fast track investments, particular in agriculture and fisheries. And that's in line with the joint memorandum circular that was released by Sunday, but A dedicated investment facilitation network or InfoNet unit will be established by the Agriculture Department to ensure that the timely evaluation and approval of investments proposal within the agricultural sector, particularly the agribusiness, agricultural mechanization, food security, and rural infrastructure will be fast-tracked. And that the InfoNet focal unit will be led by the Department of Agriculture's Agribusiness and Marketing Assistance Service, or AMAS, in coordination with its policy research service of the said department. And the investment facilitation network and that unit is aimed to cut red tape and to create more transparent and investor-friendly climate, which DA hopes would catalyze investment to modernize farming and fisheries practices, and as well as to address food security, increase incomes in agricultural communities, and improve agricultural productivity, particularly outputs or agricultural outputs nationwide. So, Secretary or DA Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel said in a statement that the initiative doesn't just target investors. It's about uplifting the farmers and fisher folks, as well as generating employment in the rural areas and ensuring long-term food security for the nation. So that unit that was created by the DA will not be center or will not zero in on investments, but also it will look after farmers' wealth or economic welfare, particularly in generating jobs and creating incomes, and at the same time securing our food stocks in the country. And that initiative is in line with the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act of 2018, which was spearheaded by the Anti-Red Tape Authority, reinforces the government's push to improve public service efficiency and promote investor confidence. And that Joint Memorandum Circular, or JMC, is a multi-agency effort including some 38 national government offices, including the Departments of Trade and Industry, Department of Finance, Department of Economy Planning and Development, or DepDev, and the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, along with the Bureau of Customs. And Secretary Chu Laurel further said that the JMCs is a significant step forward in the commitment to making it easier for investors to invest in agricultural sector in the country. And with the improved coordination and more efficient system in place, Secretary Laurel said that the country will create an environment that attracts investments and drives inclusive rural development.
Front and center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
While we wait for the speech of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. as he departs to a state visit, a 4-day state visit in India this morning, Front and Center will be right back after these short messages.
Paliwanag mo sa tao na hindi totoo yan.
Dahil ang totoo, yung totoo ang dapat ninyong malaman.
Nagkalat sa internet ang fake news
Ang
o
ginagawa
mali
ng
at
fake news, tinatapon niyo yung tao.
what they are doing is creating panic.
We say no.
Yung pagkalat ng fake news. And some of it's dangerous.
Sana iwasan po natin pagsispread ng fake news.
At di magpapakalat ng disinformation at misinformation ang kasulukuyang administrasyon.
Stop telling us fake news because you're wrong.
Para sa totoo at mapagkakatiwalaang mga balita at impormasyon, Radyo Pilipinas.
Time to celebrate kulturang Pinoy. Tradisyon, musika, sining, literatura at iba pa. Anything and everything fun and Filipino. Ito ang Pinoy Kultura.
Naaalala niyo pa ba ang mga katagang ito? Amoy pawis, amoy araw. Ano ba yan? Puro sugat ka na naman. Bakit wala na naman kapares yung tsinelas mo? Ang dungis mo.
Tama na. Ayos lang, di ba? Masaya naman tayo naglalaro sa kalye ng sipa, patintero, agawang base, habulan, jolen, trumpo, text, at marami pang iba.
Some Filipino games just show how creative we are. All we need are players and nothing else. Ang saya balikan ng ating kabataan.
Kain, tulog, laro, laro, at laro.
O ano, game na?
Pagkabilang kong 3, nakatago na kayo.
Yan ang Pinoy kultura because our culture is cool.
This is a public service announcement. Maging handa sa oras ng sakuna. Para sa iyo at sa iyong pamilya, laging siguruhin. Go Bag ay nakahanda at naglalaman ng mga sumusunod. Ilang pirasong damit, ready-to-eat na pagkain at inuming aabot ng 3 araw. Personal na gamit para sa inyong hygiene. First aid kit kabilang ang alcohol, bandages, gamot sa lagnat, ubo at sipon, pati na rin ang inyong vitamins at maintenance medicines. Maglagay ng pito, flashlight, lighter o posporo. Huwag kalimutan ang mga charger o power bank. At higit sa lahat, isama ang mga importanteng gamit gaya ng inyong mga legal na dokumento, IDs, ATM o passbook, insurance at iba pa. This is a public service announcement.
Public service announcement
From PBS, Presidential Broadcast Service and Radyo Pilipinas.
Front and center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome back to Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service with me, Jerome Toledo. And now, I think the President has arrived at the Villamor Air Base in Pasay City to deliver his speech as he departs for a 4-day or 5-day state visit to India. And President Marcos Jr. Will deliver his speech to say something about his expected activities during his state visit in India. And while we await for the speech of the President Marcos Jr. Okay, so President Marcos Jr. is now delivering a speech at the Villamor Air Base as he departs for a state visit in India. Let's listen in.
Mula sa Presidential Communications Office at Radyo Pilipinas, ito ang Presidential Live Event. Presidential Live Event.
Calixto, Pasay City Mayor Imelda Calixto Rubiano, Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff General Romeo Balmer, and the other major service commanders, PNP Chief Nick Torre, Philippine Coast Guard Commandant Admiral Ronnie Hill Gaban, who is also accompanying us today. Fellow workers in government, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is with high expectations and much anticipation that I leave for New Delhi upon the very gracious invitation of PM Narendra Modi. India has been a long valued friend of the Philippines. Filipinos and Indians have had mutually beneficial interactions since pre-colonial times. Throughout our history, Philippine culture has been deeply enriched by our exchanges with the Indian civilization, which have long influenced our language, our literature, customs, and even our folklore. For instance, the term Maharlika, which is an ancient Tagalog society, which in ancient Tagalog society was referred to as a class of freemen who were obligated to serve the Datu in battle, is actually derived from Sanskrit, one of the ancient languages of the Indian subcontinent. These early contacts between Filipinos and Indians, which were sustained and amplified by the communities, the commonalities in our values, in our cultures, have translated into a very long-standing, strong friendship between our countries and our people. This visit to India will cap a year-long commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the establishment of our diplomatic relations. Our bilateral relations have seen a measured and stable development that is both comprehensive in scope and multifaceted in nature. Our cooperation is manifested through our diplomatic engagements, strong societal and cultural bonds, robust commercial ties, and increasing institutional linkages and exchanges across different sectors, both in the public sector and in the private sector. With the Philippines being the oldest constitutional democracy in Asia, and being that India is our continent's largest democracy, our two countries share several core interests, such as our democratic ideals, our respect for basic freedoms, and the preservation of a rules-based order in the international arena. Our geostrategic position as coastal states that border the busiest international trade routes and critical sea lanes of communications in the Indo-Pacific region, our shared interest in protecting the rights and welfare of our international seafarers, our steadfastness in upholding international maritime law, including the UNCLOS, and our unwavering commitment to regional peace and cooperation serve as a credible foundation of our active and growing maritime cooperation. I traveled to India knowing that our commonalities will lead us to a deeper, broader, more meaningful bilateral cooperation, both in the immediate future and up to our longer-term horizons, that will ultimately serve the peace, the stability, and prosperity for our two nations and the wider Indo-Pacific region. There is much potential for cooperation with India that will mutually benefit our peoples. We intend to explore these by charting a plan of cooperation across a broad spectrum of shared interests, from defense to trade, investment, health, pharmaceuticals, connectivity, agriculture, tourism, and many other areas. In the lead up to this visit, we have already announced our grant of visa-free privileges for Indian travelers, which we expect will boost our tourism-related industries and further bring mutual understanding and mutual benefits. I have with me several cabinet secretaries who will make certain that the vision of a close strategic relationship with India will turn into a reality as soon as possible, as we make our commitments at the highest levels of government and of business. There are already Indian multinational companies that are operating in the Philippines in IT, BPM, pharmaceuticals, telecommunication industries, and many, many more other sectors. I will personally lead a business delegation to New Delhi and Bengaluru to meet with the captains of their industries, especially in the IT sector, to explore potential investment opportunities for both sides. I want this visit to bring concrete benefits to the people, such as more affordable medicine and greater connectivity and food security. It is incumbent upon us, now more than ever, to maximize the opportunities in trade and investment with the world's fourth largest economy. I look forward to a productive visit and much closer Philippines-India relations. Thank you. Maraming salamat at magandang umaga sa inyo.
And you just heard the speech of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. in Villamor Air Base in Pasay City as he departs for a 5-day state visit from August 4 to 8 in India, as he will meet Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And President Marcos Jr. Valued the long-standing friendship between the Philippines and India. And also, President Marcos Jr. Mentioned about the Indian culture that is deeply incorporated into the Filipino culture. And as the two countries share core interest, and that is a democracy. And President Marcos Jr. Said that the Philippines is an oldest democracy, while India is the largest democracy in the world. So they are sharing the two ideals, and also that leads to the commonalities between two nations. And President Marcos Jr. Will meet with Indian businesses or business leaders and government leaders to discuss sectors such as health, defense, and biotechnology and pharmaceuticals. And he will meet with Indian businesses to persuade them, or to persuade them to invest in the Philippines. And also Marcos Jr. said that the visit or the talks between Indian government and business leaders will create concrete benefits such as cheaper medicines, a better IT connectivity, and a robust defense sector. And Marcos Jr. Will is looking forward to for the state visit, as he will meet the Prime Minister Modi and some other very important officials in India. And with that, we now conclude this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Together with our production team and technical personnel, this is your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay, love the Philippines.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.